Welcome back to At Home with Roby. I'm Patrick McIsaac from Roby Electric, along with Dave McGuire from Andrew Roby General Contractors.
Howdy.
Who is filling in today for Trent Haston. Dave, you're kind of a pro at this.
Well, you haven't kicked me out yet, and haven't received any warnings from the FCC, so
that's a good thing.
Still here.
Well, why don't you introduce our guest? It's somebody that I think the Charlotte market is familiar with. He is very familiar with At Home with Roby and our companies, and has been obviously executive director for NARI for quite some time now. And why don't you give him a little intro for us?
Yeah, so we are joined by Mike Waite, who's the executive director of NARI, National Association of the Remodeling Industry for the Charlotte metro area. Mike is a stalwart in the construction industry, and he leads a wonderful group of contractors and subcontractors and suppliers and other folks supporting the remodeling industry here in Charlotte. And Mike has done such a great job. He's really he's almost a celebrity on the national scene for NARI, and so he's got a lot of wonderful things that he'd like to share today about what we're doing in the remodeling industry and where we're headed, and we're happy to have him.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I really appreciate your welcoming me back. I think this is my fourth or fifth time on the show.
I was going to say, it's getting up there.
Yeah, so is that a frequent guest? Do I get any miles or anything like that?
We'll work on a frequent guest program later. But, Mike, you are a wealth of information for both the industry trade partners within the remodeling industry as well as homeowners that are interested in remodeling or having home services done at their home.
Yeah, exactly. It's really important to us to be visible to the homeowners because a lot of times, everybody that's either listening or in the studio right now knows that the industry itself doesn't have a great reputation. There's some bad guys out there that take people's money, that they take advantage of situations, and the industry itself does not have a great reputation. However, the National Association of the Remodeling Industry is the only professional association for the remodeler, and we vet our members very carefully. They're licensed, they're insured. Homeowners aren't taking on liability when they invite a NARI member into their home to do any size project. So, yeah, it's real important for homeowners to know us, know who we are, what we're about, know that we all adhere to this code of ethics, that we conduct business the right way. We're good citizens.
Well, that's wonderful, Mike. So you're right. So it is important, and without the homeowner, without the business owner that is performing the remodel or having the home service or the remodel done at their home, we don't have an association, we don't have an industry, and quite frankly, Dave and I don't have a job. So it's all about the end user, the customer, and that's what you're saying is that NARI Charlotte or NARI is a national organization, can provide that homeowner with a resource or a potential construction partner or vendor partner that abides by the code of ethics. And you're holding in your hand our 2016-17 membership directory, and I believe if I remember correctly, the very first page says Code of Ethics.
Correct. Yeah, so for those of you listening and can't see, as soon as you flip the page open, Patrick's correct. The Code of Ethics, and this is what draws us all together. This is our common bond, and it is a national brand, and this is NARI of Greater Charlotte. We not only have to, we are delighted to adhere to this Code of Ethics, and we take it very seriously. And that goes for, and David mentioned, it's not just the remodelers, but the remodelers are the core of the membership, but the subcontractors, suppliers, vendors, manufacturers, and all the business services that keep the industry in motion adhere to the same Code of Ethics.
Well, one of the reasons I think it's very applicable to having a code of ethics inside remodeling is, if you're out there, you may have done a remodeling project or maybe you haven't. Remodeling is very personal. Contractors inside your home, around your family, they could be responsible for locking up at night, making sure the house is secure and you're coming and going. I mean, I'm not sure there's another scenario where you have to be more careful about who you invite into your house. So, therefore, you can't just invite anybody, and you need to have a trusted, NARI member. And it's my second stint on the board, but my first stint, I was on the ethics and bylaws committee, and essentially, anytime there was a complaint or something like that got brought up, there's a whole committee and panel that reviews this and hears from the client side and the contractor side, and we make sure that it gets worked out fairly for both parties there. So we take the ethics and the bylaws very seriously in NARI.
Well, you make a great point, David, too. The remodeling project in itself is does require a whole different relationship between contractor and homeowner. It's not like a custom home builder, which does have the relationship is important. But when you're remodeling, you're getting around people's things, their families, their schedules. You have to have a more intimate and trust and a level of trust in that relationship than you do in a lot of other service-related industries.
Well, you're right. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to At Home with Roby. Dave McGuire is filling in for Trent Haston today. I'm Patrick McIsaac, and our guest today is Mike Waite from NARI Charlotte. And we're talking about remodeling as a whole, both from a consumer standpoint and from an industry standpoint. And I think that if you weren't listening to the first segment or the first portion of this segment, we're talking about how personal this is. And it really is. And we have a counterpart on WBT, David Doble, who has the home improvement show on Saturday mornings. I think Dave always puts it well. When people call in asking, hey, how do I select a contractor? How do I select a remodeling professional? And David kind of just basically says, hey, could you marry that person? Because that's how much they're going to know about you, as far as just being around when the kids are getting up, being around when the kids are coming home from school. I mean, they're a part of the family during that project, and that's important. Mm-hmm. And Dave, I know at Andrew Roby, you guys do some things that sort of set yourself apart maybe from some of the other industry folks, like taking in the paper and the trash cans mm-hmm. and checking on the dog and things like that. Why is that so important?
Well, really, I mean, first and foremost, it's the golden rule, right? You know, treat others how you want to be treated. And we're at Andrew Roby and all of our Roby family of companies, you know, we're looking at lifetime relationships, right? And, you know, if it's the right thing to do, then do it. And it is important to build that trust. And we understand and respect the intrusion and what that looks like. And, you know, no matter if it's the perfect remodeling project, it's still an obstruction to their daily routines and lives, and we understand that. So we just try to do the right thing and make sure that it's a wonderful project and a great experience. It's safe, it's clean, and it's thoughtful, right? So, you know, we get it.
Well, and Dave, if I'm somebody that's an industry mate, you know, a subcontractor or maybe a vendor, and I'm listening to the show, I mean, why is Andrew Roby so involved? Why is it so important to you? I know why it's so important to me with our Roby services and Roby Electric, but why have you chosen to devote your time as treasurer this year of NARI Charlotte?
Well, I think it goes back to how we view the industry and our role in the industry. You know, whether it's Trent Haston, who is our CEO of Roby Family Companies, served as president and been on the board for many years, or you, Patrick, in your role, president at Roby Electric, or, you know, passing on down the line. We just see that it's important for us to be a leader in the industry and to help the industry. You know, we feel like we've got some pretty good experience and can help others that have been there, and then, you know, lead by example. And we believe in NARI and what it stands for. I mean, the truth is there's not that many places in the industry where you can really associate yourself with something that you don't just pay for, right? You can sign up for a lot of stuff and say you're a top-notch contractor, you pay your fees, you get your clicks and stuff like that, but, you know, you've got Home Builders Association and you've got NARI, really. I mean, and those are bound by a code of ethics, and that's what we associate ourselves with and other businesses like that.
And David, since you mentioned, and Patrick, I'm just trying to draw this out of you as far as why you serve and some of the benefits of volunteer leadership in an organization that you believe in. You can not only can you learn some professional and personal development skills by surrounding yourself with other leaders in your industry and adjacent industries, but you can be around the elite. And I don't want to leave the studio without mentioning that in the studio with me right now is the National Chapter President of the Year, as awarded at the last spring business meeting in Scottsdale, Arizona, Mr. Patrick McIsaac with Roby Electric, and also won the John Quaregna Young Professional Award for under 40 professional in this country is Patrick McIsaac with Roby Electric.
Well, Mike, we've talked about this before. The industry needs a lot more younger people under 40, so I think that there was as many people for me to go against, but I appreciate you saying that.
Well, and I know you say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but that's another thing. The industry itself, and I didn't know how we were going to transition to workforce development, but the industry is not a young industry. It's an aging industry, and we'll get on.
Well, Mike, let's talk about that, because I think that's a topic in and of itself, especially for those with maybe graduating or kids going into high school, college, that age group. Folks, you're listening to At Home with Roby. We'll be right back with Mike Waite.